Hello everyone, and I hope you are having a splendid Victober and that you're maybe finding a new favorite. And let me know if you are watching anything in honor of Victober. And yeah, I just hope it's really wonderful. So the video I wanted to do today, I've been ruminating on for a couple of years, and that is on the overindulged Victorian man-child, or kind of the failure to launch male character. And it's kind of a common thing that I've seen in Victorian literature. And I think it's because when there was a young man of means who didn't have good, upstanding moral character, then there was a lot of damage that he could do with the means that he has. And I am looking forward to talking about this. So I did have to limit it. I think I have 11 here. There were a couple other that I thought of, but I wanted to keep this video short-ish. So I will keep this spoiler-free, and I will just hint and allude to things. So the first is the character of Tito from Romola. And Tito is one of those characters who, this is a common thing with a couple of these characters, but nothing is ever his fault. Everything else, everything that happens is someone else's fault. Things that have been done to him, and he's just not accountable. And so when he does things, it's completely reasonable. There were, needs must, and it's just a common thing with him. He is unbelievably selfish, unbelievably self-absorbed. And it's interesting that in Romola, there's kind of a case of insta-love. But because it's George Eliot, she doesn't romanticize insta-love and shows kind of what can happen if you just go off kind of this first impression where you know nothing of someone's character. Tito is an outsider. There's not really anyone else in the community that knows him and can speak to whether or not he has good character. I'm trying to think if there's anything else about Tito I want to say. Oh, I will just say, if you have read Romola and you're wanting to think about how awful Tito is, just one word for you, and that word is library. I'm just saying. Okay, the next one is in Middlemarch, and he is highly more likable and has much more potential than Tito, and that is Fred Vincy. Fred is a character that I kind of adore. I kind of absolutely adore, because he does have a good heart, and he means well. A bit, he reminds me of Frank Churchill and Jane Austen's Emma. So Fred, he has such winning ways about him. So you understand when he gets romantically involved with a character who is kind of a fair amount more mature than he is. You understand how he won her over. He just has this charm about him. And what I love is that he is not a stagnant character. So he starts out pretty overindulged, and then he has to put his big boy pants on and grow up. And by the end of the book, even though he isn't quite where he could be, you're confident that he's going to do well, he's going to take life seriously, and he's going to work really hard at everything that he does. So he's one of these characters that I'm very fond of. Then two less fond of, and that is Arthur Dunnithorne, and he is in Adam Bede. This is a guy who, he's not despicable, because when he does mess up, he tries and fixes it the best that he can, but he really does mess up. And he is someone who hasn't really spent much time outside in society. It's like he's had private tutors, and he hasn't spent that much time in the community. And so then he makes really immature decisions and doesn't think about the possible consequences or ramifications of them until really dire things happen. Then he does own up to it, and he tries to make the tragedy as least tragic as he can. And it is, so it does redeem him for me a bit, but he causes a lot of trouble in this book. And I mean, it's good. Adam wouldn't have the life that he does at the end were it not for these events, probably. I don't know that for sure, but I'll be curious what you think. Does Arthur throw a wrench in it enough that would Adam have ended up with the same character that he did if Arthur hadn't come along? I just wonder. Okay, Then the next character, and one that makes me really sad, and that is Steerforth from David Copperfield. And Steerforth makes me really sad because obviously he is not the victim, but it's kind of like he's a victim of himself. It makes me sad about him is that you can see when he is contemplating certain actions that he is very conflicted and worked up about it. That he doesn't like certain aspects of himself, but it's like he just doesn't know what to do about it. He doesn't know if he can fix it at all, and it makes me just really sad. I pity him, and whenever he has these really this very charismatic personality, and so you see why people would be drawn to him, but then just the fallout of everything that happens, it's just like, wow, you are bad news. Yeah, so very, very sad, that one. The next one that is not sad and is just detestable, and he's right up there with Tito, that is Alec Durberville from Tess of the Durbervilles. Talk about someone who, like, nothing is their fault, and he's violent, he is aggressive, he is doesn't view Tess as a full human being. She is an object to him. He's just awful. And what he wants, he will have. Like, he's just bound and determined, and he's so awful. He's detestable. And it just makes you wonder, kind of, was he just always, when he had a tantrum as a toddler, was he just always given what he wanted? Or is this just a new development as an adult? So yeah, he's really awful. And especially then, later on, the hypocrisy that he shows, and he isn't actually changed, is really, really awful. And nothing is his fault. Okay, then a character who is, he's a little bit better than Alec, a little bit better than Tito, and that is Horace Skimpole from Bleak House. This is a character that I would say, as opposed to Fred Vincy or Arthur Dunnithorne, he shows no progression. He is still a fool by the end. I am a mere child is what he says. I am a mere child. Not owning up to being a grown human being is really just lousy, in my opinion. And he's so despicable. So I am dreading getting to the Mr. Skimpole chapters in Bleak House. In my reread, I'm not there yet, but I'm going to have feelings as I go through it. Then the next one is a less kind of fully realized character, but he is this category, and that is Edward Brown from Moorland Cottage by Elizabeth Gaskell. And there was a part in there that it really struck me, and it said something about how I can't remember, he was taught lots of knowledge, but his character was never attended to. And so none of this moral training and kind of thinking of others and how your actions might impact them and make them feel, and how what you do matters. Every single choice that you make is important. It matters. And that, I think it seems empowering that you can make a tragic situation, you can make it a little bit less tragic, depending on how you handle the situation. So he's just bad news. He's really whiny. He's entitled. He is not nice to his sister, and I love her. I think she's such a really gentle, sweet soul, and he's terrible to her. So yeah, not really any sympathy for Edward. Then Felix Carberry and The Way We Live Now. He really is a man-child. Like, this guy, he's so self-involved and doesn't want to be a grown-up and wants everybody else to do work for him. And I don't really have much else to say about Felix because it's also been a while since I've read this, but I do know that he is a very eye-roll-inducing character. Then this is another one like Steerforth that just makes me sad because I feel like in some of these instances, they were taught well and they they just reject that teaching. And in the instance of this character, which is John Reed from Jane Eyre, I feel like he just wasn't taught well. So he was really coming into adulthood with a handicap, and he had the means to destroy himself. He had the means to bring total self-destruction. And he's just such a miserable person. And I'm sad for him. That you see in the early scenes in Jane Eyre, his mother not at all thinking that she should be concerned about his character. Everything, she's so focused on how much she can't stand Jane that there's no thought of, maybe my son is a little out of control. And, you know, while he's a child and he's living at home, I can kind of, you know, oversee that he doesn't go totally crazy because he's just in the bounds of the house. But when he's an adult, you can't do that. And you haven't worked on refining his character. And it's just so sad what happens to him. And then the last character, the last failure to launch dude, is George Osborne of Vanity Fair. 2 thumbs down for George Osborne. He's pathetic to me, and he ends up with the nicest person, and he doesn't care at all. He completely takes her for granted, and he really, really bothers me. And he really bothers me. I'm having a hard time not talking about spoilers. He's with such a nice woman who absolutely adores him, and he just can't be bothered. So he is very much the grass is greener on the other side. So he's always wanting other things, and it's rough. So let me know who you think I should have also included on the list. Let me know if you agree with my assessments and kind of nuances that I think about the characters. And I look forward to dialoguing with you in the comments. And I hope you all have a very wonderful day. Bye.